Um, all right. So we have RJ in Colorado who will prove the existence of God with probability and statistics.
No, he won't.
There's no way we could have
That's not how that works.
billion people if evolution was true. Are you kidding? Hey, RJ. Welcome, I think.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to 100% prove it.
I
but
believe
I do
you.
think it gives credence.
Congratulations. We are all in agreement.
Gives relevance.
Yay. Well, stop while we're ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead, RJ.
Well, I guess what I was saying is basically, there's 7.5 billion people on the planet. And if you go by evolution's timeline, which is like supposed 400,000 years, it's just
I don't know. No,
almost an impossibility.
You've lost me. Where's this 400,000 year thing come from?
The 200, well, that's what most evolutionists believe, right? 200,000 years is when the first man walked the earth.
I don't think it's, well, I think maybe modern man, but okay. So let's say modern man. Are you saying that you couldn't have gotten from 40 or 50 people to billions in that time frame? Is that what you're suggesting?
What I'm saying is that we would have way more people on the planet if
so
humans have been around for over 200,000 people.
You're assuming static growth. The thing is that population changes are affected by more than just how many people there are to fuck.
Because not every one of them does so.
Yeah. And so it is a resource game, and it is also wars and
polio, diseases,
pandemics, and other things. But the study of the population growth of humans, there are actually people who spent, the bulk of their lives studying this and analyzing this. If you're correct, why are you calling the Atheist Experience?
Because it gives more relevance to the biblical story that it was the Earth is close to 6,000 years old.
If you're correct, sir, you have a model.
You just made it worse.
Fundamentally shows that everything about population science is wrong, and you should be getting a Nobel Prize and a Templeton Foundation Prize. Why are you calling an internet call-in show where with two people, neither one of them are population experts, to present this case? Why aren't you out, changing the world with this?
I want to say that. I'm just saying that gives relevance to the biblical story.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
I'm not saying that I'm a population expert.
There weren't 25 people
I would say it's
alive at the time of Jesus. So you're not changing the number that was around 2,000 years ago. You're just adding in Jesus. So if the number of people we had 2,000 years ago.
I meant 2,000 years ago. I said 6,000 years ago.
Jesus was around 6,000 years ago?
I'm not. Yeah, 6,000 years is typically. I don't know if that's exact, but
no.
That's typically
we're talking about
what the Bible
I'm talking about
says, correct?
Jesus. Was Jesus around 6,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago? I had it right the first time. Was Jesus on Earth 6,000 years ago?
I would say, yeah, there's lots of witnesses.
There's witnesses that Jesus was on Earth 6,000 years ago.
No, not 6,000, 2,000 years ago.
Okay,
I said
let me go back.
Population started 6,000 years ago.
So first of all, we're getting off track talking about the historicity of Jesus, and there are no eyewitness accounts. We have 0 eyewitness accounts. However, I'm talking about
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were eyewitnesses.
Luke and John.
No.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
4 books were not written by the people whose names on them, and they were not written by eyewitnesses.
Nor were they written at the time.
Are anonymous and copied from each other. If you think Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were actually written, you should go watch the debate I did on this, because even most Christian scholars reject that notion. But you called in to talk about a problem with population growth. Now, are you suggesting that experts in population science have overlooked this glaring problem that you've discovered?
I would say, yeah. It just takes common sense to realize that you wouldn't have 7.5 billion people if the world was over 200,000 years old. If you look at writings,
did you figure this out on your own?
No, I mean, I researched it, but another thing that really just gives it relevant. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did somebody else figure this out, and then you're just telling me what somebody else figured out?
I wouldn't. Someone else figured it out.
Do I mean? Did you sit down and do the math?
I would say I thought about it, and I've heard from other people about it. I mean, it's like math. I don't, people figure out math.
Did you do the math?
They don't necessarily need other people to help them figure out math.
Did you do the math?
Yeah, I did do the math.
What is your expertise?
I mean, I did.
What is your expertise in training in population models?
Just looking at the past 100, 200 years. Just looking at demographics.
That's not how population science goes.
And we started that show with something like that.
What you're doing is the rough equivalent of the people who have no understanding of biology or geology, who call in to suggest that the earth is flat, or that vaccines cause autism,
or the magnetic field is going away.
You are the Google expert. You found something, it didn't make sense to you, and rather than studying it to gain an actual understanding, you just sat down and started doing the math.
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's other people online that believe the same thing. A lot of other demographics.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all.
Who follow demographics.
Yeah, and some of them.
I mean, just do the math.
Some of them think, no. You don't have to just do the math. You have to do the math right. You have to have the right variables, the right understanding to build a viable model in order to do the math. And you haven't made any demonstration that you have any expertise or ability to do that. And yet all of the population models that we have, you're saying are wrong. Congratulations.
All the population models, what population models are you referring to?
I would recommend that you go Google and do some study on how we actually learn about population models. Because you are essentially a Google expert, which is making you look Google foolish, because you're trying to say that something is impossible because the math that you did, which doesn't line up with population models, shows that everybody else is wrong. So congratulations, go get your Nobel Prize or whatever else, but we're done with that.